Chapter 2.1 and 2.2 deal with some algebraic properties. The first one is the commutative property of addition and multiplication. Basically, if you change the order of an addition problem or a multiplication problem, change the order of the values, it does not change the sum or the product. So here's an addition problem, 3 plus 2, you know that equals 5. If I switch the order to have 2 plus 3, it still equals 5. That's the commutative property of addition. Same with multiplication. 3 times 2, that equals 6. If I flip the order there, 2 times 3, that equals 6. So it doesn't matter what order I multiply these values in. Now these are useful because they can make problems easier for you. Take this one, 15 plus 7 plus 5. Since I can add these up in any order, I can add 15 plus 5, that equals 20. Those are two compatible numbers. Then I can add that 7, and I get 27. Same with this problem here. 12 times 4 times 5. For me, it's easier to multiply 12 times 5 first, so it would look like 12 times 5 times 4. 12 times 5 is 60. If I multiply that by 4, I can do that in my head. That's 240. So the way that you group these, the order that you do these doesn't really matter. The next property is the associative property of addition and multiplication. Changing the grouping of the values does not change the sum or product. So take this addition problem, 3 plus 2 plus 1. We know that's 3, and we do what's in the parentheses. 3 plus 3, we know that's 6. If I group this differently, 3 plus 2, that's 5, and then I add my 1, that's also 6. So where I put my parentheses for a problem that is entirely addition doesn't matter. It's the same with multiplication. 4 times 2 times 3 is the same as 4 times 2 times 3, because 4 times 2 times 3 is 6. That would give me 24. And 4 times 2 is 8. Times 3 also gives me 24. So if I have all multiplication here or all addition here, it doesn't matter how I group my terms. The next property is the identity property. They're slightly different. The identity property for addition is just a little bit different than the identity property for multiplication. For addition, the identity element is 0. If I add 0 to any number, it equals that number. I mean, I'm sure you know that. 8 plus 0 equals 8, but they call it the identity property. With multiplication, the identity element is 1. If I multiply 1 with any number, it equals that number, like 8 times 1 equals 8. Don't get those two confused. Don't think that multiplying 8 times 0 would be the identity property. It is not. The last one in Chapter 2, Section 2 is the distributive property. It says that when you multiply a sum or difference by a number, you can multiply each number within the parentheses by the number outside the parentheses. So we'll take this example. 2 times 3 plus 4 is the same as 2 times 3 plus 2 times 4. So I took this number outside the parentheses and multiplied it by each number within the parentheses, and then I did that operation, addition. So that would be 6 plus 8 gives me 14. And if I did 2 times, let's see, 3 plus 4 is 7. 2 times 7 is 14. That is true. It works for subtraction also. 4 times 3 minus 1, well, that would be 4 times 2 equals 8. Or I can do 4 times 3 minus 4 times 1, which would give me 12 minus 4 equals 8. So that is the distributive property. If I'm multiplying values within a parentheses, I multiply every value by that number on the outside of the parentheses. The cool thing about the distributive property is that it makes multiplication easier. Instead of trying to multiply 7 times 125, I can break this up into its place value parts. So I've got 100 here. I can break this up. 20 and a 5. 125 is equal to 100 plus 20 plus 5. So I can multiply each of those by 7. I can take 7 times 100 plus 7 times 20 plus 7 times 5. So 7 times 100, that's easy, 700. 7 times 100 is 700, plus 7 times 20, well 7 times 2 is 14, and I add that 0, so that's 140. And 7 times 5 I know is 35. Now I can just add all those up. Let's see, 700, 840, 875. That's a little bit easier for me than trying to multiply 125 times 7, blah, 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 blah. A little bit easier for me. Same thing here. 4 times 368, instead I can do 4 times 300 plus 4 times 60 plus 4 times 8. 4 times 300, let's see, that's 4 times 3 is 12, add my 2 zeros, plus 4 times 60, that's 240, and 4 times 8, I remember, is 32. Now I can just add all those together. Let's see, that's 1440 plus 32 is 1472. So the distributive property can make multiplication easier for you. On your project, you'll have to show that you can do all of these, that you understand all of these properties. So you'll basically, for example, you'll add 0 to a number. You'll add 0 to one of your variable expressions, or multiply one of your variable expressions by 1, or multiply one of your variable expressions for your cell phone plans by 2 and show how that 2 would distribute to all the terms.